You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used.
Ted Nugent.
If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Left this lies and globalists, I'm pushing them back. From the saloon to the airwaves, I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big guns creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Freedom's calling. Let this judge is twisted, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. I've walked the line, 41 years, badge on the grind, now I'm on the air. My voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, Rose will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
This is a great day. Oh my gosh. So much, I have to say, once again, I thank Mike Fitzpatrick for creating that song. What a great song that was. And let's see, will I be able to produce my show like a producing producerton produces a show? Oh, and I also have to say, you need to jump in to our sumptuous, plush, palatial, and resplendent chat room. And now we are up to this just in from the big giant head. It's like, oh, I don't do teletypes very well. That's not a teletype. Good God, what the hell is wrong with you? Anyway, we are up to 640 subscribers on the show right now on the SHR Media Network on YouTube. Also, if you're on YouTube, make sure you click that bell. Then that way you'll get notified because of an upcoming SHR Media show. You know you want to do it. You know us. You love us. You like us. Who was the chick that said on the Oscars, Sally Field, "Oh, you love me. You really, really love me." By the way, I have my own 137 great followers right now. Because I seem to have a lot of comments. Let's see if we can catch up with comments, because I'm going to go back. And if you remember, if you were here, yes, Rick Robinson, Sally Field, you rub us wrong time. Let's go to, I have the receipts because of the promise that I made last Tuesday night. Tuesday night was a great day. Tuesday night was a great show. But promises made, I'm going to keep promises as tonight. Now, you're probably thinking, damn it, Jim, what promise? Cosmic Bard! Oh, damn, let's go up. Let's just introduce everybody, shall we? Unpleasant Blind Guy is here tonight. Mission Ready Men is here tonight. Jersey Joe is here tonight. The Phantom is here tonight. Oh my God, moving along, moving. Who else do I have? We have Ricky Robinson. He is here tonight. Who else do we have that I haven't named yet? And yes, Cosmic Bard. The Lost Wanderer proving, come on, fill in the words for me. The Cosmic Bard proving that all who wander are not lost. Cheezo pizza, you guys. You better bring back the Bigfoot couch for the week to come and talk with me and Amish discussing cryptids. That's a good idea. I had a great Bigfoot couch. And I will have to bring that back if Ricky Robinson allows me to bring that back into KLRN. Thank God all you guys rub me wrong time. Wait a minute. Is it rub me wrong time or rub me wrong time? I don't remember. But I do remember this. Hey, do you remember when BZ said, wait a minute, go back up here because we have to start the show off right. And we start with this, the carousel of amusing GURP. And that's when I play wacky stuff like I told you I would play this. So listen up. Okay, excuse me while I wipe my eyes and tears because I am so damn easily entertained. Oh my God. I don't know. There are certain videos that make you laugh like a fat bastard, like what I am. I don't know why that kills me. I have no damn idea. But it does. It kills me. I also have to say that this is a really good day. Well, for this guy too. Oh God, that's still making me laugh. So Jake is not long for this world, but we brought a friend over for him yesterday, and he perked right up. And then he began to play Chase That Dog. Jake is a shadow of him, his former self, but he got perked up yesterday. He's doing great. We had an IV, dropped the IV bag. It took about 3 minutes yesterday to empty that portion of the IV bag into him. And then today, this morning, we did the IV bag. Went about 4 minutes. It normally doesn't go that fast. He doesn't eat. Wait a minute. Here's Jake eating. He ate today and he drank today. So this is a damn good day. And I'm going to go back to the carousel of amusing GURP and let's play someone you know and love.
Hi guys, James Comey here. Well, I just got indicted for being a lying, corrupt piece of shit. So I just want to ask President Trump, please forgive me, Mr. President.
Of course.
My tiny white ass is not ready to share a jail cell with a big black man that looks like Michelle Obama with a huge schlong. I saw her dancing on Ellen, and honestly,
why do you guys listen to this show? This is obscene. This is terrible. I find it funny as hell.
I don't think I can take all that dangling dong in one night. I hope you forgive me.
I'm sorry. Listen, I am so desperate for humor and to laugh this week. I'll do anything. And I think these are illustrative of the fact I'll do anything to make me laugh.
Let's not stipulate to that. It's not a fancy art. It's going into that. The point is,
they are voting yes on what we say here in Washington, a clean CR, a bill to keep the government running for 7 weeks, and Democrats are voting no.
So just remember that didn't happen and you didn't see it, and I don't need a producer, and other lies that I might be able to tell you. Plus, I just saw this. I don't know where I've been. Apparently, much to my chagrin, what I'm going to play next has been on the internet for quite some time. And I just saw it about a half hour before I got on the show. I was watching. Where did I see this? On Gutfeld. And I thought, I've got to play this. And listen, what have I got for you tonight? I had Ted Nugent. I've got the show intro. I've got the carousel of amazing GURP. I've got the Chicago death toll update. I've got stand by for news regarding the shutdown. I've also got a BZ's big ass soliloquy coming. And I've also, the theme for tonight is how to win in 2026, how Republicans can win in 2026. And if I can get to it, I've also got happy stories. It's a jam-packed show. Damn it. Okay, so let's put up. This is Sheriff Grady Judd with his own version of an illustration.
There's things you can't make up. So we arrested Walter Frymere. He's 51. We got a call that he was naked inside of a restroom at a public park. Well, anyway, our deputy gets there. The dude's got all of his clothes on. So we're nice.
Naked.
And we send him out of the park and trespass him and tell him we're not going to arrest you. We're going to give you a break. So what does he do? He goes across the street and hops up on what? The railroad train track and trespasses again. So not only is he trespassed, we've got him in possession of meth. Well, I've talked about meth doing crazy stuff to you, right? You ain't gonna believe this. So we put everybody through a body scanner
But wait.
to make sure that they're not trying to bring guns and knives and drugs into the jail. Well, you might have thought Walter was bringing drugs into the jail.
Could be.
He brought a thermos into the jail. That's right. He put it up the exit ramp. We saw that and we said, dude, what are you doing here? He said, well,
that's not all you said.
I put that inside my body and he didn't swallow it 24 hours earlier. The deputy.
I'm sorry. I need to put myself back up on the screen, I guess. Okay, let's do this. Like I say, I needed all this stuff. I needed the dog to be great today. I needed some laughs. I needed to do a show. I needed to do a great show. I need to tell everybody that I'm really glad that everyone is here tonight. So on that platform, I'll start with the happy stuff up front. So let's do this.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Good old Mayor Brandon Johnson. This is from HeyJackass.com. HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values. You know, Chicago. Would it surprise you that I have some Chicago stories? After this, it should not. October to date, shot and killed 11, shot and wounded 41, total shot 52. Total homicides 14, week in progress. October the 5th to October the 11th, shot and killed 4, shot and wounded 18. Total shot 22. I got to take a breath every once in a while. Total homicides 6. Year to date, big numbers. Shot and killed 297, shot and wounded 1,292. Total shot 1,589. Total homicides 356. Now, I speak leftist, so this is how it translates. A person is shot every 4 hours and 14 minutes, and a person is murdered in the loving city of Chicago every 18 hours and 57 seconds.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Now, this is in fact a happy story, but I didn't place it into happy stories because this had a linkulus over to Chicago. And this is a rapper who happened to be killed while robbing a construction worker, amongst a number of other people that were trying to rob the construction workers in Chicago. But this is different because that Chicago construction worker had a CCW. Play it.
September 26, 2025, at around 5:03 p.m., Chicago police responded to calls reporting shots fired on the south side of the city around 89th and Michigan Avenue. Callers reported that 2 people had been shot, and when police arrived on the scene, they found one man laid out in the street. He had been shot 4 times in the chest. Paramedics attempted to resuscitate the man as they rushed him
to me, that's shot placement.
The hospital, but
that's gun control.
When they arrived, he was pronounced dead. According to witnesses, at least 4 people approached the construction site where contractors were working and attempted to rob the workers. They said that the 4-man stick-up crew targeted the vehicles on the property that had all of their tools in it, but one of the workers...
Don't you dare take tools from construction workers. FAFO.
A man only identified as John Doe had a concealed carry license. Once he realized what was going on, he reacted fast, drew his gun, and let off 4 shots to defend himself.
And that's where the story ends, except I'd suggest that that individual who was shot and killed weighed probably a few more ounces in death than he did in life. Here's also something else about Chicago that is linked as well. Kash Patel.
Taking the juggernaut that is demolishing the weaponization of law enforcement and bringing it to places like Chicago. When I was there today with Todd, we learned that the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members. That's right. You heard me right. They had 1,200 shootings this.
110,000 gang members in Chicago. Of course, all the leftists were up in arms. No, that cannot be true.
Year alone, 360 homicides. When politicians choose to side with those metrics and not their citizenry, thank God we have President Trump and this Department of Justice and this FBI going in there and crushing violent crime. And President Trump sent us into these cities quietly to set the stage, to set up for the National Guard, to see the success that we saw in Washington, D.C., in Memphis. The FBI has been leading the charge in every single one of these streets because we know how to gather ground level intelligence and we know how to put handcuffs on the bad guys. And we know that we have the backing of this administration. And most importantly, the agents at the FBI know that they have the backing of the American people and their government.
Except for the judges, if I'm not mistaken. Today, a judge said something similar to, you know, we're not going to allow National Guard, I believe, or troops to go into Chicago. We're just not going to have that. But the funny thing is, and I mention this because it's true. What do you do in a city like Chicago or another leftist, what I call a lurk, a leftist urban rat cage, when money, it turns out, won't repair a corrupt culture? No matter how much cash you throw at it, which is why gang culture is primordially irreparable. What do gangs offer? Do people ever think of this? No, of course not. What do gangs offer? A sense of unity, a sense of family. You know, the things that a father in the once nuclear black family, that a father brings to the equation, except predominantly there are no fathers. That shouldn't be considered any kind of a shocker. But here's the truth. Black Chicagoans welcome ICE and military protectors because apparently, said it before, I'll say it again, Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, does not care how many black males have to be killed and their blood runs down the Chicago gutters in order to make sure that Donald John Trump, OMB, is never proffered a win. He can never have a win. Let's go back and start reviewing some of the comments. Center mass, baby. That's the truth. Taking the tools almost like taking candy from a mad baby, a baby that's in shape from doing real work and able to use their hands from fists to firearms. Okay, I got to listen from my phone. I've been on my desk for 10 hours today. That's true. I was up at 0700, which is really damn early for me, listening to Rick Robinson this morning. And so if there's somebody that is the master of all fates and obviously an underachiever, because, you know, he sleeps, my understanding is Rick Robinson sleeps anywhere from 17 to 18 hours a day. Comic Artist is here. Thanks. Appreciate that. In any event, no. That can't possibly be true, that the people want crime reduced in Chicago. How ridiculously stupid is this? Well, I just caught some video of JB Jabba the Hutt Pritzker saying, well, he's kind of saying the truth out loud about Chicago.
What President Trump doesn't seem to understand is that crime is something normal in Chicago. It's a tradition. We're all criminals here. I'm a criminal. This Wakanda guy is a criminal. This bitch with the white hair, she's black and she lives in Chicago, so she's probably a criminal. Just let us live peacefully in our crime-ridden shithole. Okay, we don't want you here. Thank you. What?
Thanks, Pritzker, for at least admitting the truth. You know, leftists only know how to quantify things in terms of race and sex. So I attempt to speak or relate to them in terms of values and things that they can understand themselves. And now I almost didn't do this tonight. Let me put this up. Nighty night. James Harbin. Hey, James, welcome here. Good to see you again. I almost didn't do this because I thought, I've already got too much stuff going on in my little fetid knurled brain in order to make some kind of an insertion like this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. It's only one story. It's just one story, but it's a gooder, and it just came out.
Weapons Grade Stupid, the segment where anyone can play, but leftists are overqualified.
I saw this, and I realized, oh my God, this is from CNN, Health. Climate pollution from inhalers has the impact of 500,000 cars per year, study finds. Now, let me ask you right now, what do you take out of this? What's the point of writing this article? Because it's certainly, in my opinion, it's offered from a leftist slant or perspective. So what's the goal? What is the thrust behind even writing this article? Let's say for whatever the hell, let's say it's true. The people who are the most vulnerable to the hard to breathe air that comes from climate change may inadvertently be adding to the problem, new research finds. Okay, so let me ask you this, leftist assholes, what's the solution? I know it's to take inhalers from asthmatics and people who need them. And there's really only one response to that I can begin to suss out. And that's, you know what? Okay, cool. I say it's you first. And now we're going to go to this aspect.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out.
This is an update from the information that is sort of a continuance of what's been going on. This is day 9 because it happens to be October the 9th, the year of our Lord 2025. So subsequently, it's day 9 of the government shutdown. But I quantify it. I kind of took this from Rick Robinson, but I added something to it. Wait. Stand by.
I will build a great wall. Stand by for news.
And here's the news. Day 9 of the Chuck Schumer shakedown shutdown. And here we go. CNN. Now, some of the American media maggots are starting to come around a little bit. 48 seconds of what the hell is this?
One of the things that Republicans are also doing, and they're doing in the White House press briefing room, is the running sound of Democrats talking about shutdowns in the past, including sound of you.
Can we roll the footage of that tape in question?
Can we?
What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down? I'm going to not pay our bills unless I get my way. It's a politics of idiocy, of confrontation, of paralysis.
Well, you said it, pal, not me.
Shutting down government over a policy difference is self-defeating. We can never hold American workers hostage.
Like you're doing right now.
While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse.
You don't keep the same energy.
One of the things
you don't keep the same energy. Let's continue with this, and let's go over to CNN. This is CNN again. Where is this crap coming from? Who's been waggling their finger at CNN? Democrats kind of getting slammed again. This is from Getter. I'm a member of Getter, and SHR just became a member of Getter. So listen. From CNN. Where's this coming from? Sound.
Their efforts to shut down the government violate my time and place rule because Republicans have advanced a clean continuing resolution. This is not the time and place to litigate health insurance policy.
This is a commentary. This guy is opining as a commentary on CNN. Heretofore, you would never see this. I'll play this and we'll take a break.
The objective should be to fund the obligations already made by the Congress. And if the result is catastrophic insurance losses and premium hikes for consumers, the solution should come in next year's midterm election. Meanwhile, 700,000 federal employees are being used as pawns. It's not fair to them and will only discourage others from seeking federal employment, as well as damage Americans' faith in the workings of their government.
Did you ever see that coming? Did BZ ever see that coming? Well, you got to remember the theme of the show tonight is how to win in 2026. And I'm going to tell you, there will be a BZ big, beautiful soliloquy. It's going to look something like this. And I'm going to tell you how we are going to win in 2026. Some of you may not like it, but that's okay. You don't have to. So let's take a break for those of you who need to stretch your limbs and stretch your hair. I'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. I'm BZ. This is the final show for me for this week. I wish you already, in anticipation thereof, a great weekend, a grand weekend. I have to point out again that this little Zoomer up here had a great day yesterday. and he had a great day today. He's drinking and eating again. He's thin as hell. I don't know what the heck happened, but he's having a great time. He's having a great day. I'm BZ. It's October the 9th, the year of our Lord, 2025. Thanks to all the people that are watching live. Thanks to all the people who will watch later in podcast, and to everyone who happens to be in chat tonight. The theme of the show tonight is essentially how to win in 2026. I will have basically the huge Mark 1 Model 1 BBS, the big, beautiful soliloquy, but I will get to that after this. I want to illustrate that the shutdown isn't everything that leftists are telling you. They're not telling you the truth. Hey, look, it's Carolyn Levitt, and she brings receipts in terms of illustrating Democrats are only going to open the government if illegals receive about $200 billion with a $1 billion in health care.
The Democrats' current position is that the only way the American government can reopen is if illegal aliens can get free health care. Don't take my word for it. Just look at what's inside of the Democrats' proposal to reopen the government. Their funding proposal would result in nearly $200 billion spent on healthcare for illegal aliens and other non-citizens over the next decade. To put this in perspective, $200 billion is enough money to fund the entire children's health insurance program, which provides health insurance to low-income children and women. Under the Democrats' proposal, the millions of illegal aliens who improperly were granted asylum and paroled under the Biden administration would once again be allowed to receive Medicaid. The Democrats.
Truth illustrated here. The hidden cost to Dem benefits for migrants continues. And if I can get this up, as the government shutdown also continues. President Joe Biden ballooned the number of illegal immigrants with temporary protected status, TPS, from 400,000 to 1.2 million during his term. TPS holders, they don't have a legal right to live here, but the government has promised not to deport them until their home country resolves what is supposed to be a major destabilizing condition. Oh, they needed to be here. It was a natural disaster. The drugs, the gangs, they made us come here seeking asylum. No, they didn't. What happened is that anywhere from lowballing, people say, 11 million illegal invaders here. I truly believe it's anywhere from 20 to 30 million illegal invaders who happen to be here. And then who truly is shutting this down? Here's something from the Hill. Let me stop this and stop this so that you can see. Hakeem Jeffries rejects a one-year extension of Obamacare subsidies. It's a laughable proposal. Oh, what about this? Well, there was almost a brawl between Spartacus and Representative Mike Lawler is not a big-time huge guy, but Spartacus had to show his Spartacus-like guns.
Did your boss Donald Trump?
Easily extend
Did your boss Donald Trump give you? Yes, he is.
No, he's not. And by the way,
so let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
You
Why
know,
did you vote to shut
let
it
me
down?
ask you a question.
For years, you always
Well,
lectured about
making-
how we need to
you're
keep the
making
government
You're
open.
making a show of this to
No,
make
it's
yourself
sad.
relevant.
It's sad. You could easily sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing
You
yourself
could
right
sign
now.
on to this. The only
You're
embarrassment
chasing-
It goes on, and you get the thrust of that. But this is posturing because that's all they've got left. That's all the Demorats have left. And then, of course, this just came in today. Who blocked the bill? Who's not allowing the government to open up? Senate Democrats block GOP plan again to reopen the government as the military pay deadline looms. And that's why myself and any logical thinking human being is saying something similar to, it's not the Republican shutdown. It is the Schumer shakedown shutdown. Anyway, James Harbin, mission ready men. Very interesting point. I was saying 20 million in here, illegal invaders during the Biden regime, 30 million. And mission ready men, Earl Jackson tends to believe that, you know what, it might just be all the way up to, 40 million. And perhaps, and I've got some great stories also coming up, perhaps it truly is time right now for what I've threatened, and that is my big, beautiful soliloquy. Because tonight I said I would tell everybody what it's going to take, essentially, to win in 2026. And when I'm talking about winning, of course, what I'm talking about is winning in terms of Republicans, because there is no other party worthy of one's vote, unless you're some kind of an insane leftist drone with purple hair, a nose ring, and if you're male, a dress, a wig, lipstick, hose, 4 days worth, a beard, heels, no ass, or a black bloc uniform. Right off the bat, this is what needs to be said, and then I will attempt to support my argument as we go. But we have to realize that we are dealing with two entirely different and separate concepts. And I think once Republicans and conservatives understand how leftists are thinking, we'll be able to understand what best to do in order to win in 2026. And of course, this coming November. First, we have to realize that we're dealing with two entirely separate concepts. The first is what we realize as facts, arguments, logic, reality, proportion, and context. Kind of like the same things that I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Demorats and leftists do not understand and do not relate to those things. They couldn't care less, quite truly. They aren't even remotely factors for them. All they care about, and all we must care about, plus all the other things that we have in terms of baggage, as I indicated above, is figuring out how to do this. We have to play on their field. We have to adapt. Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. A guy from the Alinsky Center, Gary Benko, said, hey, leftists use this. Why can't you guys? We need to start doing exactly that. Vote early. Get ballots to homes. Get conservatives to the polls. Because we think that we will win with logic and common sense. That shit ain't going to happen. That ain't going to fly. Getting out people to the polls and to vote, that's the only thing that matters. Because tonight, along with this lovely chat on a lovely Thursday night, I'll be showing why those aspects that I mentioned, like the ones I indicate I use on the show opener, are mostly entirely inconsequential to Demorats, leftist, globalist, anarchists, Demorat socialists, or anybody who doesn't vote conservative, or the black-robed anarchist judges that are all across the fruited plain. And remember, I talk about on the show facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, clarity, common sense, reality. For leftists, the rest of what I spoke of is just window dressing. It's to be ignored. Doing anything to win, that is the only thing that matters at all. There are, I'm sure, a couple of you listening right now that are saying that those Republicans and rhinos are saying something similar to, oh, that's yucky. That's just not cricket. Those things don't comply with the Marquess of Queensberry rules, so we won't be adopting them. And to those idiots, I say those days are over. That's one of the major reasons that you are where you are right now, except for Donald John Trump. OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. If he had not emerged, by now you would be buried up to your necks in illegal, unconstitutional, oppressive, dictatorial, fascist laws, rules, bills, and regulations crafted to remove every one of your rights under the Bill of Rights, guaranteed. Freedoms would equal goose egg. Zero. So President Trump essentially, and I'll be clear again, saved our collective ass, all of our conservative asses. He got kicked in the teeth. He was arrested. He was prosecuted, slandered, libeled, labeled, sued, thwarted at every attempt by black-robed anarchist judges, had 2 assassination attempts, missed being killed on live television by, I don't know, what was it? Maybe an inch or so. And so to that golf course, old staid country club rhino set, it was heretical that President Trump didn't come to play the standard bipartisanship and compromise game, old chum. How bad on him? And we're not going to support him because he's not the same guy. He's not us. He's not one of us. Thank God. You know, because what has happened to that in the past? Oh, it's all worked out so consistently well for us in the past, hasn't it? Not to even consider that most Republican administrations, you couldn't get more than a handful of Republicans to freely admit, minus cocktails, that the sky is blue. There couldn't be any kind of a consensus. Add on top of that, the so-called, what is called the assassin's veto to everything Republican and conservative. And not simply by way of literal assassination attempts like President Trump, but completed assassinations like Charlie Kirk. The purpose literally is to keep people from speaking freely. That's the whole point. Stop free speech. To make them think something similar to, well, you know what? Look what they did to Charlie Kirk. Look at that. All he did was speak on college campuses, on a podcast, and to as many people as he could. If they could kill him, they can kill me. Now, see, once it was called the heckler's veto. But today, there is no limp-wristed heckling in the world of Demorats, leftists, anarchists, and fascists like Antifa anymore. Those kinder days are over and they won't be coming back. Not in my lifetime. Maybe not in yours. The heckling has turned to violence, riots, and death. That's not the end of this. The definition of assassin's veto is the chilling effect that political violence has on free speech. Let's not forget, by the way, it's only been 29 days since Charlie Kirk's assassination on September 10th. Tomorrow, it will be only 30 days since Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a leftist in Orem, Utah, of all places, on the Utah Valley University campus. The true point to be made is that potentially only a handful of people are willing to put themselves in peril in general. There are conservatives, there are already, and I'm going to name a name that just pops off the top of my head. There are already conservatives who have said, you know what, I'm not willing to speak outside anymore in a public venue. If I'm going to be speaking, I will be speaking inside. One of them is Dana Lash. Speech is not violence. Silence is not violence. Violence is violence, and that's the threshold to which one is subjected when you're dealing with leftists. Let me catch up here with chat just a bit. I could never get the hang of Thursdays. It's true. James Harbin says, in the 70s, LA City had 1 million and LA County had 500,000. Today, each have 10 million plus. Where did 38.5 million come from? Not birth rate. That's just the LA area. By the way, James Harbin throwing out this little factoid for you. What's the largest contingent? What's the largest city containing Mexicans on the planet? Well, BZ, that should be simple. Mexico City. Correct. Wait. I said correct. Where's this? You know what the second largest city, having the second largest number of Mexicans on the planet, is? Los Angeles. So there you go. Okay, I lied. You're on my TV. Cool. Let us continue, if I might. So you can make all the arguments that you want. You can point out as many statistics as you want. You can bring facts, bring receipts, but it's all immaterial to Demorats and leftists. You're dealing with an entirely different contingent of people now. The violently insane. Because they have been paying to all the violent rhetoric, all the violence spouted by Demorats to people on the left. Because they've been paying attention to that. And if it were pounded into your head for months, for years, by leftist organs, by Demorats, by terrorist groups to which you pay attention, might you then believe that the people opposing you are fascists? That they are Hitler? Because these people have you have to realize right off the bat, these people have no grounding in history whatsoever. Intentionally. That's a story for another day, But if you're told that everybody that isn't you is a fascist and a Hitler and they're there to kill you, what would you try to do? You'd try to do everything, up to and including murder, because that narrative has been pushed, yelled, screamed, bullhorned for months and years. Because in your eyes, you see, it's not murder, it's protection. To make certain you are not murdered by your most dire of enemies. And that's intentional. That incessant pounding, the rhetoric, the bleats, the literal chants, dangerous leftist assholes chants, with the assurance that in most cases, leftists are going to have numerical superiority over those you despise on the streets. So as a leftist, you have already failed in the court of public opinion. You've failed in the court of public argument. You failed in the popular votes. You have failed in the electoral college. So, of course, all those things have to go. You have to make sure that they are yanked out by the roots. You can't have them. But wait a minute. You've also determined that that's too tame. That's too pedestrian. It's time to hike the volume. It's time to blast up the violence because it's your enemy. It's your blood enemy, and only violence will work now. You are convinced of it. You are certain of it because you've seen other people do it and they've gotten away with it. And in some cases, they've been released. Mangione is a hero to the people in New York City. So I repeat, at the risk of being repetitious, what we as conservatives realize as facts, arguments, logic, reality, proportion, and context, Demorats and leftists couldn't care less about those things. They aren't even remotely a factor for them. So conservatives have to go for the votes in any and every lawful and envelope-pushing way possible. That's oh God, that's so icky. That grates against my craw, just like Demorats. Why not? Yeah, you have to ask, why not? Okay, what's the downside to doing that? And the answer is there is no downside. I've said it for years. The proof that Republicans are mostly invertebrate and spineless is that they are already hated. You are already hated. I am already hated. We, Republicans, conservatives, independents who vote conservative, we're already hated. All those people have historically been hated. That's the level, that's the foundational level from which Republicans and conservatives, that's just to begin. So if it's a given that you're already hated and you're going to continue to be hated, really no matter what you do, because that's what leftists do, hashtag, because then what's the point of not going all in. You're already despised. Tell me the downside. I don't see a downside. There is no downside. What do you got to lose? Isn't that what Trump said in terms of voting? He said, what do you got to lose by voting for me? I said before, and I'll say again, why did it take Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, to say, come one, come all, my tent is big and wide. Look, I'm pulling the tent flaps back. I want everybody. If you're a conservative, I don't give a shit what color you are, what your paint job is. That's absolutely material. There's no downside. You got nothing to lose. You're already way down here. All you got to go is up. So what do Republicans have to lose? Their cowardice. That's what they would lose. Oh my God, people would call us names. They already call you names. Well, they'd call us more names. So what do? You go after independents. Independents are concerned about issues like everybody else. Costs, inflation, safety, crime, security, comfort, practicality. Big ideas that go beyond ideology. Focus on registering those people who came out for you last time. Hispanics, black males, non-college tainted and ruined whites, and white males. And I repeat, Republicans have to learn how to vote early, get ballots to homes, and get conservatives to the polls. Now, why, BZ? Would you want to vote early? Hey, can we say it in terms of maybe it's more convenient? Because voters can choose whatever time and day between a certain envelope that they can go in, and it fits their schedule. You know, if you don't like long lines, get in there early. Avoid whatever conflicts occur on just election day itself. Then you can have more time to more closely examine the ballot, the people that are running, make a good, clear decision for you. You know, like beat the bad stuff. Beat any kind of an illness, beat the weather, beat the rain, beat the snow or emergencies. Why are you going to let stuff like that get in the way? And then when you go, you're also going to find out that overall, there'll probably be shorter waiting lines than that. And then when you scatter voters over a number of days, that can also tend to make the process a little bit more efficient. Illustration. I am BZ. I live in Nothe, Idaho. The last major election upon which I voted early. Now that's twice that I voted early. One of them I had to stand in a line for a little while, but not like the people who voted on election day. I know because the polls for my district are no more than about 700 or 800 feet from where I live. And as I drive by, I can look and I go, I voted early and I'm not going to have to wait in the line like you are. It's a matter of convenience. And then it's a matter of I think, a higher participation rate, because early voting options can embiggen overall turnout. Oh, what have I got? About another minute to go before the top of the hour break. And like I say, you can embiggen turnout and also make it a little bit more convenient for people that got family schedules. You got to take your kids here. You have to balance your dog's checkbook. Whatever it is that it takes, that's key to do that. Now we're going to take another break. We'll come right back after this. And then I will wrap that up. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be going into some happy stories. We already went into news. Maybe we'll go into happy stories next.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. You have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name is Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right. You can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I'm BZ. I'm right back. Tonight's show, it's October the 9th, year of our Lord 2025. Greetings and hallucinations to everyone who is here. I tip my cap at your presence and thank you quite humbly for your presence. I wish you early a nice weekend. If I somehow fail to do that at the conclusion of the show. Tonight, I was illustrating, and I will continue, basically my big old bulbous let's go back to Words 101. Anyway, BZ's BBS, big, beautiful soliloquy. That's what I've never had trouble with the word soliloquy before. Why tonight? Why now? That's weird. Now, last Tuesday, I want to point some things out as we continue, however. Last Tuesday, essentially what I said was, I am so tired of these leftist law enforcement pricks. And I took to task Berkeley, Seattle, New York, Portland. I aimed my focus quite a bit at Portland. It's happened in the past. I had articles from 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017 to indicate that there is definitely a pattern going on here. And then there's this. Now, after all that focus on Portland PD, I find it very interesting because a lot of that stuff has been on big media the past 2, 3, 4 days. Now, the Union for Portland PD has heretofore until today not come out with any opinion one way or the other. Now, Portland PD, their police association, has come out and said the agency is horrifically understaffed. Now, I'm hesitant. Perhaps you can understand my hesitancy here, because I've been lied to by police departments from leftist urban rat cages. Why did they wait so long to make this pronouncement, say, oh, we're horribly understaffed? Well, that never seems to have affected anything in the past, nor have I ever heard that used as an excuse as to why you can't do A, B, C, or D. So I become suspicious. Maybe it's true. I'm not saying that they aren't understaffed, but you have to go back and ask yourself, well, why are they understaffed? It couldn't be because of the reprehensible and execrable conditions under which law enforcement officers have to operate in Portland. And I've said before, I went to go look and find out what do Portland PD's officers make. Well, with a couple of years on, some seniority under your belt, you can make 6 digits, nice bennies, $118,000, $120,000. Those are officers. Those aren't sergeants, lieutenants, blah, blah, blah. So the pay is pretty good. But wait, why aren't you getting a shit ton of candidates into your academies? There are 2 things that officers must worry about. Officer survival in terms of the violent calls and the stressful calls to which they respond, and then career survival. Do you really want to spend a career working for Portland PD when you are literally, like any other leftist urban rat cage, you are one bad call from being suspended, from being written up, from being disciplined, from being fired, and criminally prosecuted? Well, that's tempting. Shit, why wouldn't I want to work for Portland PD? Now I think I'm beginning to understand why it is possibly that you're not getting that many people. Plus, Portland PD, these are the people that are in Portland. This is Congresswoman Maxine Dexter saying, look, Portland is beautiful.
Maxine Dexter, Oregon's 3rd, here on the Broadway Bridge overlooking a beautiful day over peaceful Portland, which Kristi Noem is going to see for herself as she has arrived here for a visit. And let's be clear, they are trying to tell a story, a reality TV story for a reality TV president that has nothing to do with the reality.
Now, the thing that I think is funny is, wouldn't it have been fun if all of a sudden in the background next to that building, there'd been a small mushroom cloud and a big explosion, and you would have seen shit fly all over the sky? You know, when you're, 20 miles above the earth and you look down on the earth and it's green and the skies are blue and you can see the crowds. Well, shit, that earth looks mostly peaceful to me, but the aliens are smart enough mostly to rib each other and elbow each other, say, fuck it, drive on. We ain't stopping here. Well, when you do a video like this, 75,000 feet from the locus of all the problems in Portland, and it's centered around, 5 to 6 to 7 blocks, which have been turned over to Antifa by Portland PD. Gosh, I can't understand why, go to the problem area and look. And then if you're a resident, as I illustrated last Tuesday night, Some of them are saying, well, wait a minute, we can't even get into our homes. Mission Ready Men, gotta bounce, gotta take care. UBG, stay blessed. Take care. Big E. Of course, the rats are asleep. So what does this prove? By making a video saying, oh, all of Portland isn't a crap zone. Well, most of it is. Just ask the residents who are there. And then here's something wonderful. If you're from California, always spell it with a K like I am. You've heard and you know about this chick that I'm going to put up here. But see, now things have the paradigm shift is beginning to occur. And that is leftists and Demorats are finding that all is not supremely hunky-dory as it was. And it started with this, and I have to put this up. Well, I'll tell you, and I'll provide and bring the receipts about what kind of a person this is. This is California's Katie Porter being interviewed by CBS. CBS has had the pants suit off of it any number of times, not just by Donald John Trump, President Trump, but other persons as well. Well, this is CBS. This is what they assume. Well, you're going to be Demorat friendly, aren't you? Well, listen.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60% all?
Can you sense more smarm and arrogance per cubic inch?
Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election? Yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to
not anymore.
Do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't.
See, I'm playing the whole interview, which frequently a lot of other venues do not, so that you can understand the buildup that's occurring.
Need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel
you
like
need
this
them
is
to win?
unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
Hands up, stay away from me. Body language 101. Now you weren't going where I want you to go, so I'm putting up my hands to you in a guarded fashion because I don't like what you're asking and I don't care for the words that you're speaking from your lips. CBS, I thought you'd be an easy interview. What the hell happened to you, bitch?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not argumentative.
But I'm special.
I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates.
Don't ask questions that aren't on your sheet. In other words, hey, do what you were normally told to do, and that you're departing from the script. I'm not going to take it.
Candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And
no, you're not. You just said that the 40%, you're not going to, they can go to hell. Trump voters can go to hell.
What I'm saying to you is that.
Well, to those voters. Okay. So you.
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it.
Because I'm not getting my way. I'm not getting my way. She's asking questions.
Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Now that is a remarkable tell right there. Demorats are very comfortable with being asked a fundamental singular question on a singular topic and moving on. Demorats are not used to having to field any follow-up questions. And now that you have the temerity to not only have a follow-up question, but you have follow-up questions to the answers that I give to you, maybe are you acting like a journalist? Heresy.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't
our
care.
follow-ups.
I don't care.
I'm special. I don't care. I don't do that. You're talking to me in a way that I've never been addressed before.
I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an
I have
investigative
never had to do this
reporter.
before, ever.
Boy, stop. She made a huge admission. She has never been taken to task before with actual questions. You came to me. I expected a softball interview. I'm not getting it. Well, I'm going to take all my toys and go home.
You've never had to have a
end an
conversation
interview.
with
To end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going
Jesus.
to make.
So you're not going to answer questions
Nope.
from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through?
Oh, wait until you see the articles as BZ brings the receipts about Katie Porter. You'll love it.
We'll continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these. And if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience.
Oh, no.
And I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either.
I'll talk to you off camera. I'll tell you what I really think, but I don't want to be placed and pinned down on a wax tray like a bug, like you've done everybody else, because you guys aren't playing fair. You're not being the journalists that I expected.
I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. And redistricting, it's a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just on the responses to that question.
Imagine that. I'm not playing. I'm not doing this anymore. You're not the reason d'etre for my existence. That's Katie Porter. Hey, kids, want to see the real Katie Porter? Why not?
And I never have to go to the gas station.
That's awesome. And $632 is real money. And I know here at UCI, we have a National Fuel Center Research Center, and they're also doing work on how to make electric vehicles affordable, including for low and moderate income people, working moms, single moms like me, people who really could benefit from an extra $632 in their pocket. And it's also not just the individual savings, but it's also the total savings for our economy. So I'm on the oversight committee, you might know, and that is where we did a study recently this fall in September. And what it showed is if we don't
let it go.
Electrify our transportation sector, that we're going to lose more than 500,000 Californians dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems. And the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's
That's a Katie Porter assistant. Hold that thought.
that if we don't make the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. Okay, I'm going to start again with electric vehicles saving us money.
This chick is not only butt fucking ugly, she has an incredibly ugly soul. But wait, BZ, could it possibly be that you have more information without her? Oh, I think I do. Wait, look, let's add this to the stage. Representative, oh my God, slap my hand for saying that. Katie Porter accused of demoting an aide who gave me COVID. So, shoot, I can't take that. She was accused of retaliating against a staffer who the lawmakers said gave her COVID-19 this past summer in 2022. And this would be about the time that BZ would say something similar to, but wait, there's more. This is from Politico. Politico. They customarily love Katie Porter. So Katie Porter and the bad boss problem. And again, all of these things will be up at the SHR Media Group on Rumble, and I will post all the show links. Essentially, what this article is saying is that she's a bad boss and she can't keep employees. Well, after seeing that, imagine that. Imagine your shock that that is true. But then, does anybody remember this from 2023? Well, if you're not from California, you wouldn't remember this. But Katie Porter has what is called a history. Here's part of her history. Representative from California, always spelled it with a K. Katie Porter scalded ex-husband's scalp with potatoes, say documents. She abused him verbally and threw toys, books, and other objects at him during their marriage, even pouring scalding hot mashed potatoes on his head during a fight, according to divorce records. Because, again, this proves that, oh my God, men can be really stupid. Who in the hell would possibly envision marrying that bint? So I continue with the show tonight, How to Win in 2026. Those were examples of that's what leftists are. This is what they do. This is how they think. And UBG says, yeah, Katie, stay out of my shot, Porter. Which is proving the old adage true. I'll even mention that. Unpleasant Blind Guy says, never put your dick in crazy. Leftist chicks, I should say specifically leftist white chicks, are predominantly nuts. They are insane. My starter marriage was to a leftist chick that progressed to leftism. She wasn't insane. She just wasn't smart enough to strategically outmaneuver me in terms of divorce proceedings. But what I said in terms of how to win in 2026, and some of you people you're not going to like what I have to say about this. If it's legal in a state, get out and ballot harvest. Each state is different. If it's legal, we should be doing it. If it's not legal in your state or in your area, don't do it. But every area is different. And like I say, I can hear the whines and the bleats right now, the fantods, the pearl clutching, the swooning onto nearby fainting couches. Oh, BZ, we should have elections in one day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We shouldn't be counting ballots or accepting ballots after the polls close. Better yet, why not a federal holiday for federal elections? Yeah, sure, except for one thing. That ain't going to happen. Not in my time, probably not in your time. Because things in this nation are cyclical. That's not reality right now. Maybe later, who knows when. But I suspect in this environment, that's an NGH thing. Not going to happen. I refer you back to my original premise. What we as conservatives and Republicans recognize as facts, arguments, logic, reality, proportion, and context. In terms of leftists, Demorats and leftists, they do not relate to those things. And they couldn't care less. They aren't even remotely factors for them. Victor Davis Hanson said recently, he said, instead of winning on issues, the left resorts to melodramas that no one believes in anymore. That's starting to occur. It's not a tsunami. It will never be a tsunami, but that is starting to occur, as I just showed by any number of examples that Demorats are not getting the softballs that they expected. Now, many of the Demorat women's they do have hairy balls, but they're not getting the softballs in the journalista interviews. So what Demorats only have to offer these days is chaos, bedlam, violence, hate, and divisiveness. Now, if you ever hear about this term, this is something that I learned a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away in history. If people mention Jacobins or Jacobins, it's Jacobins if you're French or German. Anyway, Jacobins, Jacobins. Democrats and leftists see themselves as the 2025 Jacobins. And so what were they? Who were they? They were a group of French morons who tried to turn everything upside down in a massive host of social reforms in France in the late 1700s. So what did occur in a short period of time is that they lopped off the heads, the Jacobins lopped off the heads of 17,000 French citizens in order to achieve their aims. 10,000 more French citizens died in prisons waiting to go to the guillotines for their turn. That's what the Demorats and the leftists and the globalists and the anarchists want for you. Here's the funny thing. Oh, well, not just for you. They want that for Republicans, conservatives, anybody who voted for and supports President Trump. Guaranteed. Funny thing is, about a year, not exactly a full year later, the Jacobins were themselves lovingly guillotined, escorted to the guillotine, to those self-same overworked and blunted guillotine blades adrip with blood. That, folks, is the fickle and ironic nature of history that comes from the House of Schadenfreude. I had a story. I had a I had a show, an entire show, all about that. And I will continue with all sorts of stories and videos and whatnot. I think I am going to pass on the bottom of the hour break. But I do want to continue to point out that the Bedlam Party continues to skewer itself. They are whinging about a constitutional crisis, despite their own words just a couple of years ago in the various debates. It's the Schumer shakedown shutdown. It's playing a game of political chicken. And now the chickens are actually starting to object just a bit. Because here's the truth that we don't frequently, unfortunately, recall. The bulk of the federal government is mostly middle-class Demorats. And pretty soon, when Demorats keep saying, nope, I'm not voting for this, nope, we're not opening the government, pretty soon those people in the federal government are gonna hurt. They're taking some for the team right now. Pretty soon they're gonna get damn tired of taking it for the team. And they're gonna realize that it's the Demorats that have been, historically speaking, now and in the future, will be hurting them. And I'll tell you about that in just a few minutes. But first, I want to put this up, add this to the stage. So let's listen to CNN and some opposing voices. What?
Need to not be masked, but ICE agents can be masked?
Well, ICE agents have to be masked because they're being
ICE
docked.
agents do not have to be
They're not
masked.
being-
ICE agents do not have
to protect their safety.
Hold on a second. There are ICE agents. I watch a lot of these videos, okay? There are some that are masked and some that are not. So clearly, even within...
Wait. Is this a leftist black chick on CNN attempting to justify ICE agents?
The same group of ICE agents that are conducting the same operation. Some choose to go masked and some don't. They don't have to be masked. But my question is a lot simpler. Is it okay for protesters to be masked if ICE agents are masked? Is it?
Is it okay for protesters to be
Yeah.
masked? If they want to wear a mask, it's fine. But why are we complaining about the police? That's my point.
Well, you are we're
'Cause we're in a
complaining about them being masked.
My point
Listen,
is,
I-
if there are apps that are being created, Abby, and that's the thing, there are apps that are being created that are the sole purpose is to dox ICE agents. And
there's an update on that.
There are people showing up at their houses, and there are families
Listen,
being threatened. Why would we
I think
not?
all of that is terrible.
Do you know this for a fact?
But you still hear the, however,
Because
I
I
do know
keep
this for a
hearing
fact.
this.
I
I
do
have
know this
not
for a
seen
fact.
ICE.
And you're ignoring the facts.
about 1,000% upswing and all this stuff. I haven't seen examples.
We just
of
had
that.
shootings in Dallas and Alvarado, Texas at ICE facilities.
oh shit, you mean you're confronting me with facts? Don't ever do that. See, the nose is kind of in the camel's tent right now.
Did we raid Biden's home?
Which is really weird. Now, this next thing, which you just heard me attempting to set up, is Eric Trump. And he's talking to Chris Cuomo. And this is on News Nation. Now, Chris Cuomo got his ass kicked out of CNN. So he's on I guess you could call it a second rate. They say that we're independent. Well, not really. Bullshit. But anyway, Eric Trump gets kind of primordial at this point.
Did we raid Biden's home? Did we try and bankrupt Biden? Did they come after us? Did we weaponize every AG and DA, against Biden? Do we do that against Hunter Biden, who had a laptop from hell, pictures of cocaine, illicit drug use, prostitution? Did we do that? Did we make up a dirty dossier about Biden? Did they try and destroy Biden's marriage? Was any of that true? I mean, did we make up stories that Biden had secret servers in the basement of his home communicating?
Wait, customarily in the past, just a year or so ago, there would have been objections, hordes of objections to this. Chris isn't saying much.
With the Kremlin in Russia, did we strip Biden off the ballot of multiple states? Did we take Biden off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and try and silence his voice so he couldn't communicate? Did we put Biden in a courtroom every single day? 91 felony counts that have all been overturned for my father now, right? For nonsense, to try and keep him off of a campaign trail and to try and destroy his life. Did we do any of that?
Fact. And those of you who just tuned in, more facts. Now, there's this. And then you wonder, wait a minute, are the Republicans ever gonna get this? Senate GOP resists nuclear option as Dem shutdown standoff deepens. GOP fails 6 times to pass a continuing resolution as only 3 Demorats cross the aisle. Now, a lot of people, I knew Ricky Robinson, for one, has said, filibuster, nuke it, RTFN, under us. Do it right now. Senate Republicans aren't ready to go nuclear again to change the rules around the Senate filibuster as Senate Democrats dig deeper against the GOP's push to open government. It goes to cowardice. It goes to being an invertebrate. It goes to those things that we want to see Republicans stand up for us, for conservatives. Let me digress here for a second. I'm going to put this up. Now, this is, in terms of the American media maggots, this is Barry Weiss, editor-in-chief, just got installed into CBS News. And this is why the leftists are cooking off. They are going 210 over 190, especially in the American media maggots, particularly in CBS, because Barry Weiss is a Jew. And now the Jews that they hate are now in charge of CBS. So this letter came out. I'm going to read it for the people that are listening but are not watching the show. From Barry Weiss, editor-in-chief, CBS News, letter to all CBS News employees dated October the 6th, only 3 days ago. Dear colleagues, I'm thrilled and humbled to be writing to you as the editor-in-chief, the new editor-in-chief of CBS News. Now, growing up, CBS was a deep family tradition. Whenever I hear that tick, 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 or that trumpet fanfare, it sends me right back to our den in Pittsburgh. The opportunity to build that legacy with you and to renew it in an era that so desperately needs it. Stop on leftist journalists go, oh, we don't need this right now. What the hell are you talking about? Is an extraordinary privilege. Right now, I imagine that you have some questions. I do too. My goal in the coming days and weeks is to get to know you. I want to hear from you about what's working. Oh, you will. What isn't? And your thoughts on how we can make CBS News the most trusted news organization in America and the world, parenthesis, because it sure as hell isn't right now, end of parenthesis, period. I'll approach it in the way a reporter would, with an open mind, a fresh notebook, and an urgent deadline. What I can tell you on day one is that I stand for the same core journalist values that have defined this profession since the beginning. Oh, no, I know where you're going. Oh, God, Gen Z, young Gen, do we have to listen to this crap? You're biased. You're agendized. I will continue to champion these points alongside you. Number one, journalism that reports on the world as it actually is. Journalism that is fair, fearless, and factual. Factual, fair, factual. Oh, I can see the witch. I'm burning. Journalism that respects her audience enough to tell the truth plainly wherever it leads. Oh, fuck. Journalism that makes sense of a noisy, confusing world. Yeah, given. But you're helping to create, American media maggots, that noisy, confusing world. Journalism that explains things clearly without pretension or jargon. Oh, crap. Journalism that holds both American political parties to equal scrutiny. Jeez, I'm hating this chick. Journalism that embraces a wide spectrum of views and voices so that the audience can contend with what's the best argument of all sides of a debate. Goes back to fairness. God, I am hating this. Journalism that rushes towards the most interesting and important stories, regardless of their unpopularity. Journalism that uses all of the tools of the digital era. And journalism that understands that the best way to serve America is to endeavor to present the public with the facts first and foremost. It's a new day. This is BZ saying this. It's a new day for the American media maggots. So she ends with, I look forward to meeting many of you in the days ahead and listening and learning from you. Stop. What are you going to learn from a 22-year-old? The answer is you're not going to learn shit from an ignorant, stupid, ill-educated 22-year-old. I am profoundly honored to join you, and I can't wait to get started. Me neither. How about kicking some major leftist ass? I think that's a great thing. Let's add this to the stage. Remember Virginia Attorney General candidate Jay Jones? Remember him at all? You'll enjoy this if you know what's going on. You'll enjoy that meme. And if you know what's going on, you'll enjoy that meme as well. But here's AG candidate Jay Jones, and I brought the images, saying that if more cops got killed, they wouldn't shoot so many people. Yeah, that's what kind of people leftists are. That is them. And then you have this individual. This is how you turn our beautiful country into a shithole. Criminals like this guy and mental mutants need to be pulled off the street. This is Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell says he has no desire to jail repeat criminal offenders. He's not the only Democrat that happens to think this way. So let's let him speak for 30 seconds.
The criminal system has had a disparate impact on Black and brown communities. Let me lead with that. So when this person is committing 6 or 7 crimes, I don't know his or her story.
Stop. Yes, you're acknowledging that people in the minority community per capita are committing the greatest amounts of crimes. But they have a story. There's a the reason that they're stealing loaves of bread and bottles of water. They're just trying to stay alive and survive.
Maybe they were abused as a child. Maybe they're hungry. So my
Have you seen a poor person recently? Have you seen any rail thin poor people? No, they're customarily anywhere from about 200 to 300 pounds or more. The ones that are thin as rails are the ones that are hooked on drugs that Biden let come through our borders from Mexico and from China.
remedy is to find their life story to see how we could help first.
Let me be blunt. I don't give a blinding fuck about their life story. If they've committed a crime, you go away. Some people were put on this planet to be illustrations of exactly what not to do. And I fervently believe that some people were put on this planet, if for no other reason than to kill them in order to make them the example. FAFO, this is what you don't do, kids. # consequences.
I have no desire to put them in jail, but I need to protect you. And that's the calibration that we have. The criminal system has had a disparate impact.
I have no desire to put them in jail. This is, trust me when I say, this is the prevailing philosophy on leftists these days. Let me go back. Let me throw some more comments up in the chat. Blah! There, see, I threw them up. Ricky Robinson. Let's go boom. Perfect point, Ricky Robinson. She's about to lose me because those words don't mean to her what they mean to us. Look, you can fertilize 40 acres with her crap. Phantom says, then I should hide on being Gen Z? Well, there are some occasional good ones around, shall I say. Now, final segment. Damn it, BZ. Michelangelo, when will you make an end? Well, BZ, when will you make an end? Let me see if I can go over here. And then, because I have one segment yet left to do. And let me see if I can find the media assets for that. And yes, here we go. So let's start.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
There are a lot of happy stories, beginning with this. From the Jerusalem Post, I put this up with caution. The nation has been bleeding. Hostage family survivors celebrate the deal, and they plan to start healing. Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan represents a chance to heal from the past 2 years of war and devastation. To which I say, in theory, nice. In reality, not sure that I know of any agreement made with and by Islam that's going to pan out. It's a nice thought, but I put this under happy stories because at this point, if we don't have just the slightest glimmer of hope, and this is what has been excoriated, President Trump may win the Nobel Prize. He may be nominated for the Nobel Prize in what? I'm thinking somebody said the next 2 days, 3 days, something like that, perhaps on the weekend, unsure. But what he said is true here. Now, once he said this, all the leftists, the American media magazines, everybody else said, no, that's not true. It is true. I've solved 6 wars in 6 months. But they're going to do anything. They must do anything and everything not to give Donald John Trump any credit whatsoever, or they will bodily bust. Here's another one that just came out today. New York Attorney General Letitia James indicted on fraud charges. I call this justice. I don't call this retribution. However, Letitia James, as New York Attorney General, ran on a campaign that said she was going after Trump as her predicate for existence, period, end of statement. And then is shocked, I tell you, when she's hoisted on the same petard upon which she did with President Trump. Although he had tons of receipts from people saying that, well, actually, you undervalued Trump's properties. But her dealio is she apparently has 2 residences when you can only claim 1 for taxes, but she apparently has claimed 2. So this likewise also falls into what BZ would customarily call the House of Schadenfreude. What do I have? I've got 13 minutes left. I can get a few more happy stories in because there are some happy stories. Now, remember when everybody said, oh my God, that judge's house that blew up and then burned up and burned down, and the judge was almost killed and her husband was almost killed. And it's all because of leftists. No, it wasn't. South Carolina authorities say there is no evidence of arson as the Demorats blame Trump, Stephen Miller, and MAGA after the judge's house explodes and burns down. That's projection. What the American media maggots accuse you of, they are themselves doing, but infinitely worse. Then here we come with some more bad juju. Not J-E-W. What's wrong with you guys? Wipe that brain, damn it. But some bad juju for Hakeem Jeffries. Because, I stole this wholesale from Ricky Robinson this morning, but it still doesn't mean that it isn't good and it isn't fun to listen to.
All I can tell you is that the inflation rate itself was 2.7% in the most recent read year over year versus it got to a high of 9% under Biden. Stocks are at record highs. Unemployment is 4.2%. That's full employment. The GDP was 3%. The border is actually secure. We've got trade deals with EU, Japan, many more in the works, and trillions of dollars of foreign investment coming here. Iran's nuclear ambitions have been set back indefinitely. And I just wrote down a few things. So I just have to ask you.
So where is Hakeem Jeffries saying no to those, no to that, that didn't happen, that didn't happen, like Katie Porter? What? Where? What?
Where is the calamity that you're talking about? And it almost seems like for Democrats, socialism is the answer to these problems. Or, I don't know, an end of democracy or something?
They're not used to being in this position. The Demorats are not used to have actual questions posed to them. And then we find out that the people, well, we knew this. We first intuited it, then it was proven to us that most of the actual journalists these days are folks like this. Now, in the middle, behind a little arrow, is a guy named Andy No, who was almost killed by Antifa in Seattle. He was hit with a metal pole. He had drinks spilled all over him. Well, he went to the hospital. Turns out he had a TBI from the striking of that metal pole to his head, and he almost passed away. Well, I guess that would be pretty serious, would it not? Let me stop here and go back and go to some of the comments. Verify, then trust. You do have an open mind. And it's not just all Zoomers. Let's listen to this. One of the reporters here said, you know what? Yeah, I used to have TDS, and then I had my brain opened.
To the federal government to bear. I talked to Katie Daviscourt in Portland the other day. She'd been assaulted all summer. And she said the same thing. They didn't seem quick to violence as soon as you made that designation. So they're thinking in their heads, they're worried. There's been 24 or so arrested in Portland. They don't want to go to federal prison. There's this video of them, one of them who is in the face of an ICE agent, and then he's in custody shaking. Once you take the mask off, they're nothing. And I was told by probably a dozen people not to tell you this. I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because it's relevant to what we're talking about. I'm living proof that you can recover from TDS. I had strong Trump derangement syndrome for probably 8 years. This is one of the reasons I recovered from it. And by the way, it's much better to not have TDS. I'm happier, I'm healthier,
Imagine that.
more successful. I even think I got a little more attractive after I got rid of my Trump derangement syndrome. Yes. You know, I'm a reporter in Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. Could not care any less. We're not here for you.
Okay, stop. Thank you. Brandy Cruz nails it. That's how you have to treat the American media maggots, as though they are immaterial. That your words mean nothing to me anymore. They mean nothing.
I'm not here to convince any of you that Antifa is a real thing, because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion because you don't want to see it. And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative. It's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw, after all those years, that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that Democratic politicians wouldn't be honest about what was happening, I thought, well, gosh, if they're not being honest about that, maybe they're not being honest about President Trump either. And it opened my mind to just looking at things for what they were. And now I find you quite funny, actually. Now I'm much happier about it. But you know, for me, again, I could not care any less the stories that they go to print. This is what I care about. We have 3.5 years. Nothing is guaranteed, although I think if Democrats keep it up, we'll probably have Republican presidents for the next 3 decades. But nothing is guaranteed. And so what I want to see over the next 3.5 years is a full court press to dismantle Antifa once and for all in a meaningful way. I know, Andy, we talked before this about some ideas. That's really what we want to. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what Democrats say. They will never wake up to this fact. So we want the federal government to take as many of these cases as possible, look at the interstate travel between Portland and Seattle when it comes to these people who are committing violent acts. And hopefully in 3.5 years, they will be a shell of their former selves.
Very close to that. And it's Antifa and many others,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Because do you know what happens to link Portland to Seattle? I know, because I've been there. I've been to Portland. I've been to Seattle, both places for extraditions when I was working with the sheriff's department to go get bad guys. You know how you get from Portland to Seattle? Up northbound and southbound I-5. That's a federal highway. Just thought that's an important safety tip for Antifa. Plus, here's another happy story. If you read this, what you discover is there was somebody arrested for the Palisades fire, for maliciously igniting the fire. I'm not going to go into the guy's name, but I think we're handling arson in the exact wrong fashion. What it turns out, if you read this story and other stories, is the guy that did this is a French leftist who came here and drove for Uber. Once the fires emerged, he left California, always spell it with a K. 12 people from these fires were burned alive. They were killed. Treat arsonists like this as serial killers because that's what they are. These should not be arson charges. These should all be murder charges because you can prove malice aforethought, which is one of the primary determinants for whether or not you have a murder case that you take to a DA. UBG says, yeah, we don't live by the left's standards. We certainly don't. Callie handling crime in the wrong way? Oh, this is my shock face. Yeah. Okay. Not so much. Here's a happy story. And again, in and of itself, it's kind of weird. HBO Max is no longer going to carry disgraced CNN's live feed. That's just kind of weird. Let me see if I can find. Oh, I got to tell you about this one. Okay, remember the Des Moines, Iowa. This is a happy story. Remember the guy that was Des Moines, Iowa's public schools superintendent, a guy named Ian Roberts. He was 54, still 54. I'm sure he's still alive. Nice coat, dude. Anyway, he said, I was MIT educated, and they bought it. I'm George Washington University educated, and they bought it. Morgan State University and the Sloan School of Management educated. Guess what? Nobody in Iowa did their due diligence on this guy, and he lied. Do you know why he lied? Because they're gaups, guilty, overeducated white people that wanted to give, by the way, this guy turns out he's an illegal invader from Guyana. They hired him anyway. You know, again, HMOG, you can't write this shit. It writes itself. Let me see if I can put one more story up. If I can find it. Oh, I won't be able to find it. The one thing I wanted to mention to you is during that one particular scene, the interview, they're saying there's an app that helps you to determine where ICE is. The good news, the happy story about that is that ICE app, which helps to locate all the where all the ICE vehicles are, where they're parking, where their residences and the areas where they're congregating. Apple has now removed that from their Apple store. As far as I'm concerned, that is a happy story. And folks, I'm going to have to say right now, that is going to be it for me. I don't know why. I can't specifically quantify why, but the two shows that I've done this week have been some of my favorites. Now, as I told you, I'm acquiring dementia, and I am kind of starting to go away on my own, and I will continue to be here, but I've noticed that my vocabulary is diminishing, and the number of words that I screw up is starting to go up. But I'll try to be here as long as I can, because if you've lived the life that I have, like I said, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I've done an amazing number of things in my life. And perhaps what makes this a happy week, I'm just glad to be here. I was really glad to be here on Tuesday, and I am really glad to be here on Thursday night. And I'm really glad that there are some people who enjoy the show in whatever fashion you do, whether it's live or in podcast or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. I'm glad that there are people that want to listen to the show. I think it's a privilege to be here, and I don't want to abuse that. And I've been fighting more leftists on social media, but I'm running out of steam for the fight, so I'm backing off with that, and I'm starting to address my focus more more on the show itself instead of trying to have a conversation with people that are just damn insane. Because these people are insane. But as I indicated tonight, you know what? There are ways that we can win in 2026. And it all gets down to don't count on trying to argue with a leftist in terms of facts or stats or reality. They don't give a crap about reality. All they care about is getting out the votes. Demography is prophecy. Frequently, there isn't a dime's worth of difference between an Islamic muzzy terrorist and a Demorat. You and I both know it. And with that, it's time to leave, kids. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. I'm in the North Idaho office / studio. Clyde, the Berserk Bobcat, is still in the house. He's about 30 feet that way, on top of a perch, looking down on the dogs. And when they look up, they go crazy and they bark. Where'd that bobcat come from? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Anyway, I just blew through a whole bunch of time when I should have been saying something similar to promotional consideration by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, by Shure and Electro Voice microphones, by the Arrakis company that make my board, also by Pratt & Whitney Dependable Engines, which happen to produce a thrust you can trust. And tiaras are by My Little Pony. There's nothing up here. It's just kind of a nice driving cap that happens to be plaid, green, that kind of stuff. And of course, thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes. Thanks for listening live. Thanks for listening in podcast. Everybody here, you have a great weekend. All of you, take care. God bless. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.